Whether or not we get the first seed or second seed and we meet Philly in the playoffs, I'm not worried about it at all. Everybody on this team has stepped up. Anzalone will be back just in time to shut them down from running, and they will not be able to do anything else on us. So, no, the nervousness is not there, whether it's a first seed or second seed. We're going to get one of them, and we'll take Philly out.
The nervousness is a relic from the past. It's
gone.
It's something you used to feel with Lions football. It's something you no longer feel.
Nope.
What a freeing feeling.
Yeah. I mean, it's to have a team that everybody envies.
Yeah.
Across the NFL. You know, they're envious of the offensive line, envious of the backfield, envious of the receiving core like Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo, and what they can do offensively at every single level. And then to the defense, how envious are they of the depth that Brad Holmes has put together, and not just in regards to, you know, hey, preseason, but trade deadline. You go get Zadarius Smith. Linebacker goes down. You go get David Long Jr. Like, I mean, they have made some great additions, kind of under the radar. Some of them, not Zadarius, not obviously nowhere under the radar, but some the ability to respond with the roster.
So he made the point the Lions' run defense, very good, which you're going to need to stop the run against Philadelphia. Lions' run defense was good last year. It's been very good this year. Lions are giving up 95 yards rushing per game. Philly's giving up 99. Like, they're in the same category of run defense.
That's 4 4th-and-1s that the Lions convert that the Eagles don't.
You're right, John, and I'd still pick the Lions. My point is, like...
because they got the 4th-and-1s.
You're right. You're right. My point is Philly does a really nice job, too. And this is, to me, the second best team in football. I think the two best teams are both NFC teams. Ticket Texter says Saquon Barkley would be super scary in an NFC championship game. Not afraid to admit it. Another Ticket Texter says if you're not worried about the Eagles, you haven't watched football this year.
Right.
They're on a mission. Texter says they're a huge concern. They have a better D-line than us and can generate pressure up the middle, which will be a problem for Goff. They have a mobile QB that kills the Lions, studs at receivers and running backs.
So
you're not sure if they're better up the middle, John.
Right. Yeah,
I saw the face you made. Yeah.
I mean, the way Ali McNeil has been dominating inside, and it doesn't matter who he goes against. I know he was abusing a rookie this past weekend, but yeah, more power to you.
Jalen Carter's been pretty good too, though.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
really believe the location of that game would determine the winner. I do. I think the Lions would take care of them here. I would really worry about the Lions winning in Philly. They're in a pretty good driver's seat with that right now. I think they've got. I don't think Philly's running the table. Okay. And I would say the Lions' most likely loss is probably the Bills, although that's not a given necessarily. I'm not concerned about anything because I trust this team, but it just stinks a little bit that there's no margin for error here really at all when you have gone 10-1 and been the best team in the league up to here. It's just a little frustrating. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had before the season, John, when we said 14-3.
Yeah.
Nobody goes 14-3 in this
right,
league.
Yeah,
Nobody,
especially with the first
even though
place
it happens
schedule.
every other year.
Yeah.
You know, so it just stinks that they don't have a little bit more room. I mean, the Vikings right now, I think the rest of their season would be favored every game. I'm not sure about at Seattle. I think it'd be close to a pick 'em. The Vikings schedule is kind of easy, but you know, they do play the Falcons. What kind of Falcon team is going to show up against them? I would hate for it to have to come down to that game, considering what this team has done this season.
You'd hate to, even though you think they'd win Week 18, that you'd let it come down to one game, given how great they've been. I get that.
Well, but here's the thing, too. Okay, they don't have, being 10-1, you'd think maybe you built up a little bit more of a margin for error. They have more margin for error than anybody else.
Right. Sure.
And so, you know, like if Philly slips up at all, you know, it makes it very hard for them to get the 1 seed. If the Vikings slip up at all, very hard to get the 1 seed. The Lions have, if they take a loss, have a path to continue to be the number 1 seed.
It's a great point. For as much as we're doing this dance of like, oh, there's some footsteps behind us, these other teams are going, we got to keep up.
Yeah.
These guys are sprinting. These Lions never lose.
So let me ask you this question, and it's probably one that we'd want to carry this discussion over a little bit. When we talk about the defensive, we're comparing all of these different positions: offensive line versus offensive line, D line, interior D line, edge rushers, and no Brandon Graham. How is that going to affect them? And what we won't know until we actually see it. The secondary, Like injuries in the secondary. How are injuries going to impact all of this moving forward? Running backs. Like we compared everything, but the one thing that we haven't asked is, who do you trust more?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts or Jared Goff? Who do you trust more in the moments when it matters most? Ben Jansen, or I don't even know who their offensive coordinator is.
Right. To answer the Goff-Hurts question, I think Goff is more consistent. I've seen Hurts be wildly erratic both ways. Super Bowl against Mahomes, he was shot for shot, throw for throw with Patrick Mahomes.
We're talking a couple years ago.
I know. And I've also seen him run into these stretches where the turnovers are contagious.
Yeah.
And Goff is steadier. So, yeah, this feels like two teams on a collision course for the NFC title game. Let's make that game at Ford Field.
Well, and I'd ask our fans.
Yeah.
Who do you trust more? A guy that's been to the Super Bowl, which happens to be both.
Yeah, both, yeah.
But when you're looking at the way Jared Goff is playing now versus the way that Jalen Hurts is playing now, and I'm talking about this year, who do you trust more?
Goff is the answer right now.